I'm finally ready to talk about my first half marathon experience as a not so well conditioned runner. Let's get into it. Let's start back to the Charleston Half Marathon slash 5K last year. Got canceled and I was like, oh no. But I ended up booking the 5K for the next year. And my husband brought it up. He was like, why don't we just do the half marathon? And I was like, well, I've never ran anything that's over like the 5K limit. That is the limit that I've always set for myself. And I just haven't done anything over it. So that was kind of going in my head. And just like all of us, Run Talk has taken over the freaking world. So I just kept seeing it everywhere, like 13.1, this, that. And if you know, you know, there's like so many of those stickers around. Anyways, I digress. I felt drawn to just do it. And even though I've been like in kind of a really bad shape physically and even mentally too, like going into this, I didn't think I had the capacity to kind of like start a race or finish it or, you know, start training for it. So it was end of November, mid-November, end of November. And before the prices went up again, I was like, let me go ahead and book this and upgrade our 5Ks to a half marathon, which is like triple the amount. But anyways, I was like, I think I can do this. Let me try, let me train, let me see what I can do. I downloaded the app Runna, and so I tried that out and my work paid for it. So shout out to my job. They paid for the subscription and I was like, well, with running, I feel like I know nothing. And I could watch a bunch of videos. I have seen a lot of videos, but it's kind of discouraging. So let me build a plan that fits for me. And I think that was a really good start for me to see, how am I going to break this down? How am I actually going to run a half marathon? I didn't even know about interval training, sprints, endurance before. So this was all really new to me. I always considered myself a runner just because like I could run and I could get my body moving and I felt empowered by that. But I had never gone over like 3.2 miles. I had to run a plan. I was starting out strong. And then I realized like, okay, running on the treadmill and running IRL, two completely different things. Let me do that. My husband went on the first run with me and you can ask him, I could not run for 10 minutes without being out of breath. And that was not only really embarrassing, but it really set the tone that like, wow, you're really far gone, aren't you? And I am so hard on myself. That was tough, but I was like, it can only get up from here. So I really pushed myself to try to run twice a week. And then I was comfortable doing 3 a week. And then I started to feel some hip pain once I would go anything over like 2 miles. So I was like, okay, let me scale it back and actually follow the plan because I tried to create my own, even though I had the app. And I realized in one mistake that I made, that if I could go back in time, I would change, is to actually do strength training paired with the running. Because I was so bad at running and because I was like, I only have about a month and a half to get my running down and to at least do over 3 miles. Like, I need to focus on this. And because I focused on that, I think strength would have 100% have helped me. And it was in my run-up plan, but I didn't follow it. So any advice for anyone is that I would definitely go ahead and do strength paired with it, because a lot of the repetitive movements of running, like it's tough on your knees, your joints, your hips. And when you actually exercise those flexors, then you're just prepping them for a good run. So, I wish that I could go back and do that, but I actually began to run. And it was a few weeks before the race where I was like, I have never ran anything above 4 or 5 miles. And I'm about to run 13.1. So let's reel it in. So finally my longest run was actually 6 miles, and it was all my body could do. And there was just stuff happening in between it. I signed up for a freaking challenge at my hot yoga studio, and so I had to go to those classes, and I already work like 8 to 5 and then trying to rush to those classes at 5:30 and then getting out at 6:30, and then I come home, I eat, I'm tired. So that was really tough to kind of balance everything while prioritizing these racing conditions. One tool that I decided to get early on was to invest in a Garmin. And after I had bought it, I realized like you can see a lot of the same data on your Apple Watch. But anyways, this was really motivating for me, like with the VO2 max, with having this new piece of technology. It kind of made things exciting for a while. And I was like, okay, I want my stats. I want this. And then I started like a run miss, and I did like 6 days, and then I quit on the run miss, but I was still running, which was good. And I went out to a track, and like, it was really cool to see my progression after a few weeks, like starting at the end of November, pretty much after like Black Friday and all of that, where I couldn't run 10 minutes to running like a mile without having to take breaks or take deep breaths. That was freaking awesome. But leading up to the half, I was definitely worried there. I felt like I wasn't conditioned enough. I felt like I couldn't run the entire thing. I found out last minute that they had a time limit, and that I had to finish that thing in 3 hours and 15 minutes. And if I didn't, like, they were opening back up the streets, and all of Charleston would be able to go wherever they need to go on the streets. And I was like, gosh, I really need to do this in good timing. And my husband ran it with me. And that day, actually, we were like, should we just cut our losses, not check out the hotel, and just cut our losses and not go because of the weather? It was snowing, and it was like very icy road conditions, and we were worried about coming back home and not being able to get home. So we were like, okay, what if the race, they're not going to have it? And I was like, well, last year they didn't have it, so I really think they're going to have it this year. And it looks like it's not going to snow until like 1. So the race is supposed to be over by 10:30. Yeah, I have a feeling they're going to push it. And they did. And we decided, it was like 12:30. We were like, let's go. And let's have a good time. You know, he was so proud of me. He was like, come on, you've been training for this. Like, you should do it. And low-key, I'm like, please, I hope that we don't have to, because I've only ever done like 6 miles. And he did this, of course, he did this completely unconditioned. That's annoying, but also pop-off king. If I could, I would. But we went there, and then I just kept imagining, like, I'm here. The hardest part is at the start line. And thankfully, I did a collab with the VIP feature. And for my first half marathon, I could not recommend it enough. Just because I was really nervous before, and I needed to use the bathrooms. Those lines were long. I would rebook it again solely for that purpose. I think it's an extra $129 if I'm not mistaken. That feature alone, and they had snacks before, they had coffee, they had waters, they had at the very end of it like a VIP station so you could get your food and your beer really quickly. So that was nice. And also with your baggage drop, like you could do it privately there and then pick it up after. I accidentally missed that, but anyways, lots of really good benefits, especially since I was like so freaking nervous. Again, I'm starting this half marathon without ever like actually running a half marathon. So that was psychotic, but at the end of it, I ended up running the first 5 like pretty easily. It was very nice actually to see like, oh my God, we're a mile in, 2 miles, 3, 4, 5. And I think it was just the momentum of everyone around you. And after that, I was like, we are golden. And I didn't start to struggle until mile 9. And I realized if I stop running, it hurts. So I can't stop running. Thankfully, I had a ton of cures, and I was drinking these religiously like the entire week before, because someone who ran a ultra human marathon 100K had told me to hydrate, and so I hydrated like hell, drinking at least one of these per day, and then the night before the race drinking one, morning of the race drinking one, just to make sure I was hydrated. Fueling these goos, I did try them out once during my training to make sure like it was okay on my stomach and that it actually did what it was supposed to. The thing I didn't want to do was drink the week before. I mean, I don't drink like too much, but I did drink exactly the week before. And I was down bad, but I didn't want anything health related to happen to me. So thankfully, and I got sick right after the race, which was crazy. I think my body was holding it down up until the race. One thing that didn't end up happening that I think helped was having running socks and also using foot glide. I had seen so many things where people were like, oh, for your first half marathon or for like this long runs, like you should wear foot glide. And then I had been training without running socks, and then I purchased running socks, and it made a world of a difference. So again, keep in mind, I had not ran more than 6 miles before this race. So that was amazing. I do have blood in my toenails right now. Not going to insert a clip, just leave it to your imagination. But other than that, my feet were great. My Theragun after felt amazing. I could barely walk. Yeah, it was rough. I went to the bars after and it was snowing. It was so nice. But when I came home, my Theragun was on for most of the night. Oh my God, this is so cute. So Rana has, and this is open to everyone, but they have a half marathon checklist. So this helped me out too, to kind of see like what I should bring, things I should think on, optional. One thing I really wish I had were those race day pins. Instead of using the ones that like go into your clothes, I wish I had the bib pins where you just like push them in. I think that was cool. And yeah, they had enough water stations, so that was really good. I didn't have to worry about that too much. You're not going to believe this. I should have mentioned this before, but so my watch had really helped me with all my training, and I was so excited to log it. At the beginning of the race, I forgot completely to start it. So don't be like me and completely forget to log it. I didn't open up Strava. I didn't open up Runa. I didn't do anything until after a mile in. So technically, according to them, still haven't done a half marathon. But one thing that pissed me off is we stayed at a pretty nice hotel. Like I booked it through Amex Travel, and it was like a pretty nice hotel that's right in downtown. And on the nightstand, I guess they had only one plug that was working, and they plugged the lamp. I didn't think anything of it. I charged my wearables right there. I charged my phone. When I woke up and when we were in the Uber, I had realized none of my shit had charged. And I was pissed because my watch was on like 20%, but I read when you use like the GPS features, it drains it. And also my phone, I needed to listen to those podcasts to get through my run. And it was on like 20%. How I did not notice this, maybe because I was just like nervous for the next day, but this was insane. This was like literally going to, in a sense, hear me out, in a sense, ruin my first half marathon experience. But thankfully I had the charger for my phone. My Garmin didn't die until like I was finally done logging it. I forgot to start it to begin with. When we were running after the first mile, I was like, dang it, because I heard someone setting theirs. I was like, how did I miss this? I think I mentioned this, but the course is fairly flat too, which is another reason why I was kind of like, okay, I think I could do this. We walk around New York. My husband and I walk around New York all the time, and we do well over like 13 miles just in walking and for the entire day. But I was thinking like, okay, well, I can run that. You know, the time was really the main thing that was stressing me out, because with other half marathons I've seen like, oh yeah, they keep it for a few hours, like whatever, they want people to walk it. It's okay. But still, it was a 15-minute per mile pace that you had to keep up, which normally I had like 11, 12. So I was like, maybe I'll be fine. But in the end, I was okay. I had finished right at 3 hours, and just before that, Sandra was like, hey, I'm getting cold. Like, I gotta go. And I was like, go. That's perfectly fine. I understand. And it was only for like the last 10 minutes. I had caught up to him. But yeah, it was amazing. At mile 12, I literally broke down and cried. I'm gonna insert a clip here. I feel absolutely insane. Not gonna lie. I want to cry right now. I didn't know I could do this. Oh my God. It feels good. One more. Let's go. I genuinely did not know my body could do that. And I was talking with a friend pretty recently, and we were talking about like running talk and skinny propaganda. And it's crazy because you don't see runners that look like me like so often and talking about their half marathon experience, or like what they did, what helped, what didn't, that it's freaking scary, okay, to make sure that you're doing it in time. So I was so nervous. I almost quit before I could even begin the day before, and I'm so happy that I went, because now I'm like itching to do another. I'm looking into it, and I think I found one. Well, I got accepted into one. So I will keep you updated on when, where, and what that is, because I'm too hype about it. Yes, this was amazing. If you have any questions about it, just let me know. And obviously, I'm not a professional at this. This was my first one, first of many. And I'm just grateful that my body can do these amazing things. After this whole experience, one thing I noticed is I don't want to take that for granted. And I want to keep up with this, because running is so good for you, endurance wise, growth wise. It's something you can see and track in real time. But yeah, I'm very proud of myself and proud that I earned this. I forgot to mention this, but shoes. So most of the time I was training in the Adidas Evo, what I thought were the Evo SLs. They were the Adidas Adizero SLs, but they weren't the Evo SLs. And so I thought these were like great running shoes, but I was like, there's not as much cushion as you'd think for all the hype. And then I found out I bought the wrong shoes. Happens. But I ended up running in my Brooks Glycerin 20s. I used ChatGPT, and I was like, hey, which shoes based off of my inventory of running shoes would be good for my height, size, weight, current condition. I've only ran over 6 miles. I need to run a half marathon. Like, these shoes have about like 400 miles on them, this X amount of miles on them, because in Runna you can track it, which is really cool, because that's something I learned recently. You got to switch out your shoes every now and again, which it makes sense. But I ran with those, and they did great. Like I said, I do have blood in my toenails, but I think that's just a little souvenir that you get that you don't know about. But I end up seeing on the internet everywhere that people get that. But yes, that's the shoes that I use. Outfit, I ended up wearing Bandit leggings, Bandit top, Bandit socks, and then, like I told you, the raincoat, the blue Nike pullover, and yes, and the beanie that they had gave us, which was really cute. And I did purchase my pictures, and out of my pictures, I realized why my feet hurt. My feet hurt for like an entire week after. And when I was training with landing on your toes first and then heel. And then in my form, I noticed like after mile 5, I completely lost it, and I was heel toeing it, which I had not trained with. So yeah, keep that in mind when you're training. That's a little thing I completely lost. But you live and you learn. You know, you got to learn from your mistakes.